Hi folks, welcome to today's color process video. Again, I said color process video when I mean to say just video. Anyways, I'll try to remember that next time. So today's comic is very much me reaching the cusp of burnout, I will admit. I explained in the typed up process post that I think I've come to realize that when I build up a buffer of roughly 3 weeks, that seems to be the point at which I just kind of creatively burn out and I start to find it more and more difficult to draw a good comic. So yeah, as a result, after this comic, I'm taking a break for the rest of the week as I'm talking now, which is 3 weeks before you're actually seeing this comic seeing this video as well. So even though I'm taking a break for myself, for you, it'll be like nothing happened because I'll be I've got so much of a buffer built up that I'll be able to get to work without worrying about my buffer running out, so to speak. So yeah, with this comic, the it very much came about just because I could not think of what to draw. Um, I mean, what you see in this comic is pretty much what actually happened. I got so, pardon my language, but I got so pissed off that I couldn't come up with a comic that I decided to just make a big batch of pancakes instead. And as I mentioned in the comic, I never make pancakes. So when it comes to the actual color in this one, another thing I've noticed that I tend to fall back on when I'm coloring my work is I tend to use a lot of blue, don't I? If you look back over my previous comics, quite a few of them have kind of a blue purple kind of a color scheme going on, especially with the backgrounds. And I don't know why that is. I mean, in some cases, I hope to say in a lot of cases, I do it because I have a specific reason for doing it, that I want to get across a specific atmosphere or feel. But with this one, just blue just worked for me. I tried various other colors, but I kept coming back to just blue. Now, when I think about it, back when I first started the comic, especially when I got my hands on a tablet to do the coloring, one thing I used to do, I don't do it anymore, thankfully, but one thing I used to do was, especially when I was rendering the backgrounds in that kind of semi painterly kind of look I like to go for, I I would render everything in blue. Like I would set a separate layer for practically every element you see on in the background, and I would render each of those elements in shades of blue. And then once that was done, I would use the hue saturation tool, like the slider, to change that shade of blue to like a shade of green for grass, or kind of like a purpley color for trees and whatnot in the background. And it helped, but it was incredibly time consuming. And it was annoying as well, because a lot of the time I find now when I do a background, I like to go for the color. Like I like to go straight into the colors I want to use. Maybe they'll be a bit off, but for the most part, they'll be close to what I want. And I, the reason I bring all this up I'm really rambling there, but the reason I bring all this up is I'm wondering if my using blue a lot in my current comics, if that can trace its origins back to that habit I had where I would, render everything in blue, and if it's kind of like a comfort zone thing for me to use that color. As for the rest of the comic, um, yeah, I don't have. I can't really say all that more. The one thing I can mention is the kind of the motion blur effect I have in the fifth panel. I wasn't entirely happy with how that turned out when it was drawn. However, with the addition of color, it works a bit better. It still could be a hell of a lot better than it is, but it's it's one of those examples where color can help save something that didn't quite turn out as you want in the actual drawing. So yeah, I will leave it at that, and I will talk to you at the next video. Take care.